Shavua Tov. We're starting on Memdad Amud Aleph by the Gemara. The Mishnah mentioned a few cases that the animal's patur. Now the Gemara discuss what does patur mean. Amar Shemuel, patur memita v'hayav bekofer. The ox is patur from getting killed, but the owner still has to pay kofer. Rav Amar, patur mizeh umizeh. Patur from both. V'amai, why should it be chayav in kofer? Hatamhu. Tatam. It's referring to a case where the ox is muad to fall onto people while the people are in pits. Hachanami, therefore, that's an answer later on in the sugya. Right now, we're saying that's comparable to our Mishnah as well. Hachanami muad, it's comparable to a case where it's the ox is muad to rub against walls and it falls onto people. Right, so it goes to people's houses, starts rubbing on it until the house collapses. If that's the case where it kills people randomly, then it should be killed because it's obviously trying to kill. By the case of the pits, it shouldn't be executed because it's reaching for some carrots, then it falls into the pit and kills people. But over here, it's not trying to. It's seemingly trying to kill. When it says it's referring to a case, yeah, it's not trying to kill. It's trying to just get that one spot you can't reach with its hands, and he's trying to scratch himself. So,
what are people doing in pits?
A sewer system, they're fixing stuff. I don't know. Maybe they're digging wells. How do we know that the ox is trying to scratch itself? Maybe it's trying to kill. Where it says because even after it fell, it wasn't just trying to destroy the wall, because even after the wall was destroyed, it kept on rubbing. Turn the page, beep. If it's pushing the wall and the wall falls down, that's considered tzorot, right? Like when it steps on something and something goes flying. So there should be no kofar. The Gemara says, it's referring to where it's rubbing against the wall and consistently pushing with the wall as it's falling. So it didn't just rub against the wall and the wall falls down 2 minutes later. It's rubbing against the wall and pushing with the wall, and even may even fall on top of the wall afterward. Proof according to Shmuel against Rav. There's a case where the ox is hayav for dying and the owner's hayav in kofer. There's a case where the owner's hayav in kofer, but the animal does not get killed. Some cases where the animal dies and the owner's patur from kofer. And in some cases patur from both. Said, what are all these examples? Mu'ad bekavana hayav mitav bekofer. If it's mu'ad for killing intentionally, you kill it and kofer. Mu'ad shelo bekavana hayav bekofer patur mitav. If it kills unintentionally, you're hayav in kofer, but patur from killing it. It on purpose. Tam bekavana hayav mitav patur mikofer. A tam that killed on purpose is hayav for death, but the owner's patur from kofer. Tam shelo bekavana is tam for not unintentional, patur mizeh, patur on both, because it's a tam and it was a mistake, so therefore patur from death and kofer. So we see over there clearly that the archayav, when it kills by mistake, by a mu'ad, and the ox does not get killed, which is according to Shmuel and against Rav, where it says behind zakin shelo b'kavana, anyhow the brayta continues, right? So we have the question, but now we're continuing the brayta. Behind zakin, regarding damages by mistake shelo b'kavana, Rabbi Yehuda mechayav rishon patur. Rabbi Yehuda says you're chayav and rishon one's poter. My time at Rabbi Yehuda, why does Rabbi Yehuda hold that you're chayav? Yalif mi kofro, he learns from the kofer. Ma kofro shelo b'kavana chayav, after zakin shenami shelo b'kavana chayav. Right? So just like kofer, you're chayav even with by mistake. So two damages are chayav by mistake. Rabbi Shimon, how can you learn patur? You learn from when the ox gets killed. Just like if it killed by accident, you're patur. Just like by unintentional damage, you're patur, right? So we were each learning out from each thing. Now we're going to ask how come they don't like each other's opinions. How come he doesn't learn from execution? He learns payments from payments, right? Damages from kofar. Then you don't learn execution of the animal from payments. Gemara says, Rabbi Shimon, how come he hasn't learned from kofer? Why does he learn by from damages from death? Because we learn from the what has to do with the ox, any damages from the ox, to what has to do with the ox in regarding to death of the ox. Which excludes the kofer, which is then you do with the ox. The owner of the ox has to pay it. So let's see. If the animal tried to kill an animal, but instead to kill a person, patur. But it sounds like that if it tried to kill a person, but it killed someone else, you still kill it. Therefore, our Mishnah seemingly is not against Rabbi Shimon. Tanya, Rabbi Shimon, Even if you try to kill one person, that person moves out of the way and they accidentally killed someone else, it's patur from getting killed. How come? The animal shall get skila and the owner shall die. The same halacha that applies to the owner, yani humans, applies to the shore. A person's only chayav mitah if it's premeditated murder for that person. Right? So if someone takes an arrow, shoots it at Reuven, at that second Reuven bends down to drink his milky looking tea and it hits Shimon, then the guy who shot the arrow is patur because of his mistake. So the Gemara says, therefore, it's patur by the animal. How do you know that the person himself, if he tries to kill someone by accident, patur? You shall ambush the guy and try to kill him. Actually, kaveno, the extra word of ambushing shows that it has to be premeditated for that person. Rabbanan who disagree that you're chayav, even if it's by mistake, what does he do? Learn with that pasuk? It excludes a case where a guy throws a stone into a crowd of people, of Jews and non-Jews. You're not chayav. Now, what's the case of that? If you're talking about the case where there's 9 goyim and 1 Jew, typically you're patur, not because of anything else, but the fact that it was high chance that you were not going to do it, and therefore this is rov, and therefore you're patur. Even if it's half and half, you have, in the case of mitat bedin, we don't kill people easily, we always make kill. When it says it's even in a case where there's 9 Jews and 1 goy. Even though there's a majority of Jews, and therefore you're probably going to hit a Jew out of percentage wise, he's still not killed. Why? Since there's 1 goy there, that's considered a person in place. And any case of kavua, we'll explain that in a second, is as if it's 50-50, and therefore and therefore, even in that case, where mekil and you're not killed. What does kavua mean? What does that mean? We have a famous case of a person who finds a piece of meat. So you find a piece of meat in the street, and there's mostly Jewish stores around you, then you could eat it. You can assume it came from there. It's a famous case. And then the other way of looking at it, though, is if you have a piece of meat in a store or in a certain area where it's next to a store, you don't say, oh, because it's rov of the stores around me. No, you don't look at it. Look at it where it is. It's kavua. It's in a place. So it's over here. Even though there's 9 and 1 Jew to non-Jew ratio, that Kanaani is still considered kavua. Right? That's the chidush, and it's half, and you're making. Okay. New Mishnah. Shor ha'isha, the ox of woman, shor ha'yitamim, the ox of an orphan. Shor ha'apotrapus, the ox of a guardian who's taking care of the orphan's ox. Shor ha'bar, a wild ox, yani it doesn't belong to anybody. Shor ha'hektish, the hektish ox. Shor ha'ger shemet ve'in yorshin, the ox of a ger who died without any relatives. Right. In general, a Jew will always have a relative, no matter how far you have to. If you have to go far, you have to go far. Great those aunts, uncles, nephew, whatever it is, there's someone there. A goy who has no relatives, if he makes relatives after he gets converted, he has relatives. If not, not. So if he died without any yorshin, it's hefker. Even if those animals kill Yachav, their animal dies. Now we're going to explain how come we have seemingly a couple of cases the same. The wild ox, the ger's ox, these are all oxen without owners. It's all the same thing. We'll touch on it. Okay, new Gemara. Number 9. Shor Shiva, the pasuk that talks about an ox killing has listed.
Wait, you skipped Rabbi Damer.
Sorry, Rabbi Damer. Shor Hamidbar, Shor Ha'ikdesh, Shor Hager Shemet, the ox of a wild ox, the hektish ox, and a converse ox. Patur from mita, because they're owners. Thank you. Number 9. Shor Shiva, the pasuk that talks about ox killing, it's written 7 times. All right, making sure you're paying attention. Lahabi shor ha'isha, it's included that the animal gets killed, to include the woman's ox, shor tamim, ha'apotropos, shor hamidbar, shor hektish, shor shaget shemesh, and elishin. Right, all those cases are Mishnah. Rabbi says, shor hamidbar, shor hektish, shor haget shemesh, and elishin, petrunim mital lefichen valin, they are ownless. Now, Maravuna, poter hayar b'meyuda afilu negach u'lasaf letishi. Right, Rabbi said that if it's a hektish animal, you're patur. Even in a case where it gored and then you make it hektish, it's still patur. Nagach v'asof hefker, if it gored then you made it hefker, also patur. How do we know? Because you mentioned there's two separate cases, like you mentioned earlier. Shor hamidbar v'shor hager shemet v'en ereshin. This the wild ox or the ger's ox. Shor hager shemet mine. Who was I mean? It doesn't have any yerushin. The came into inla yerushin have a short hefker. It's considered hefker. Hainu shor hamidbar. Hainu shor hager shemet yerushin. Same exact concept. They both have no owner to claim it, and they both killed. So why is it mentioned both? El halav kashmilan. Nagah or the sort of dish. Nagah or the sort of even if it gored and then became hektish, or it gored and then became mefkir, it's patur. Shmamina. Tell me, the proof we have another brighter that says the same thing. Tell Al Ken, additionally, I'm already that said, I feel Nagah was so hektish in the ox gored and the owner made hektish, Nagah was so mefkir, or the gored and then made hefkir, patur from killing it. Shneimar vehu ad ba'alav, the owner has to get warned. Vehemit, then you kill it. And over here it doesn't have it. Until you have to have the death of the person and the ox is being judged, it has to be done at the same time. So therefore, since it had to be belonging to the owner at the time, therefore it is patur. But you don't need the ox to be, it sounds like it has to be judged before a verdict. The Gemara says, of course, you need a verdict also. The pasuk says you kill the ox has to be after it's convicted. After the verdict. So the Gemara said, rather to fix it. It has to be owned at the time of the death of the victim, while it's in court, and after it's convicted. Okay. If it's not owned at any of those points, then the animal is not put to death. New Mishnah. Sure, the owner the ox is already convicted and it's going to get stoned, and the owner made it hektish. Ain't a mukdash, it's not made hektish. Shehato, if he slaughtered it after that point, besaro asur, its meat is asur. Before the verdict was made, he made it hektish. Mukdash, it's considered hektish. If he slaughtered it, also allowed to be eaten. Right? It's a very, very rare case. We have the same Mishnah brought down, and there's like two completely separate concepts happening in the same Mishnah. The owner of the animal gave it to either a free watcher, the guy is doing it in a favor to watch it, a borrower, or a paid watcher, a paid shomer, or renter, and the animal damaged. And the owner, the watcher takes the place of the owner, he's responsible for damages. And therefore, Mu'ad pay full and Tam pay half. Then we're done. Short Hashemit, an ox that killed the person, the halacha is as follows. As long as it wasn't verdict, was not convicted, mecharo, if he sold it, machur, it's considered sold. Hekdisho, mukdash, if he made it hektish, it's hektish. Shehato, besra mutar. If he slaughtered it, the meat is mutar. If the shomer then, the guy was watching it and he returned the animal before it was convicted, and before it was sentenced, and he gave it back to him, muhzar, it's considered returned, and the guy has his own animal back. But if the verdict was already reached, it's not sold, it's not hektish, you can't eat the meat. If you return the animal after watching it, it's not considered returned. Even after it's guilty sentencing, it's considered returned. Now, maybe let's say the machlok is based over the following. Regarding items that are isur bahna'a, you can't tell the person, here, this is yours. Rabbi Yaakov and Rabbi Yaakov hold that you can return that. What does that mean? Let's say you give me something that I now cause it to be asur bahna'a. We've touched this in the case previously in the concept called hezek she'eno nikar, damages that are not recognizable. Should sound familiar to those who have been doing the daf for a while. Our veterans. So, what does that mean? That means if I have, let's say, you give me a bottle of wine. Eitan, can you watch it? Or Eitan, take some. I take the bottle of wine, and I somehow manage to get it. Yain nesech. Isur bana'a. Now I could machloket whether or not I could come back to you and say, here you go, here's your bottle back. By the way, it's yain nesech. So one opinion holds, you can say, here you go. And one opinion holds, you can't say, here you go. And also in this case, seemingly we're trying to compare that machloket over here as well to our case of the animal. Because if it's slaughtered, or if it got sentenced, It's seemingly one opinion holds that you could give back the animal after it got sentenced. And oh, by the way, this animal is getting stoned tomorrow. Good luck. And one opinion says you can't return it. You have to replace it. So seemingly that's the machloket. The Gemara says, "Amar Rabba, the kula ama omrim be'isur hana haresh shel chalav." Rabba says, no, everybody holds you can do it. The imkan niflog le'inyan chametz pesach, because that's the concept, and there'll be machloket regarding a person who stole chametz in the beginning of Nisan and returns it after Pesach and said, by the way, enjoy your bread. This is chametz shaval Pesach. Because no machloket there, that means everybody holds that you can return it. So therefore, what's the machloket in our Mishnah talking about regarding the returning of the animal after sentencing? Machloket whether or not can the bedin finish off, yani can the bedin sentence the animal without the owner there? The owner is being watched by this haruf who obviously didn't do a good job watching the animal. Can the bedin sentence the animal without him being there? The Rabbanan Savri in Gomlin Dino Shel Shor Hamim hold no, you can't do it. The owner's not there. Because the owner could say, if you would have given it back to me before it got sentenced, I would have kished the animal. I would have sent it to the swamps. No one would have found it. I would have sold it possibly. Now that after you give it to the Bedin, and now they're basically killing it, now no way to get it back. Because you can do it. Because Bedin would have found the way to get it. Meaning, one opinion holds that maybe you could have sketched Bedin, one opinion says you can't escape Bedin. Seemingly that's the machloket. My time Rabbanan hold that you can give back. Hashori sakel v'gam balav mat. The ox shall be stoned and the owner shall be put to death. Right? We know that doesn't mean you kill the owner, but that means the owner has to pay kofar. However, we know by a person, the same way if the owner would die, the ox would die as well. Ma ba'alim b'fneihem, just like as if a person is a litigant, he has to be put to death, he has to be there. So too, afshor b'fnab. So too, if the ox is being sentenced, the owner has to be there. And therefore, if he wasn't there, it doesn't count. Rabbi Yaakov makes sense regarding the owner's b'nei ta'ananu, because you want a person to be there by his court case because he has to be able to express himself and speak up for himself and maybe defend himself. However, short about Tanahu, but an ox can't talk for himself, and therefore there's no point of having him there, and that's why you can sentence him without the owner being there. Amen. Amen.